Alright, so I wanted to do another video about one of my guitars, and this time around we're going to talk about the Esp M-Ii. And this is a pretty sick axe, if I do say so myself. Esp, they're known for the M series, which I think used to be Mirage way back in the day. But this is a pretty standard guitar in their arsenal of axes. This one that I have here is part of the Esp Standard series, and it is made in Japan. As far as I know, or at least the last time I checked on the Esp website, this guitar, you can get it in a bunch of different configurations. This one happens to be bolt-on. Pretty sure you can get it neck through as well. And we have a rosewood fingerboard. I think you can also get it in maple, if I remember correctly, and dual EMG 81s for the pickups, and Floyd Rose. I replaced the stock saddles on here with the Graphtec String Saver saddles because in the past I had always run into problems where the strings would eventually wear grooves into the saddles, and I would break strings all the time, and it was a huge pain in the ass. So luckily Graphtec has an awesome solution to this problem, and I've had several guitars now where I have put on the Graphtec String Saver saddles, and string breakage has dramatically decreased to the point where they almost don't even break anymore, unless I leave them on there for, way too long. So if you, happen to run into the same problem, I would definitely recommend them. Not just for the Floyd Rose. I have another guitar, and I will do a video on that guitar, at some point, but it's not a Floyd Rose, but I also got the Graphtec String Saver saddles for that guitar as well, so I'll talk about that, in another video when I talk about that guitar. But anyway, back to the M-Ii. The pickup selector is a three-way toggle, so you have bridge, both, and then neck. We just have a volume control on this guitar. I know a lot of guitar players that might irritate, some guitar players not being able to mess around with the tone, but it doesn't really bother me. I have a bunch of different guitars that I'll use in different settings anyway, so I'm not really looking for, something that is 100% versatile in this guitar. So it's totally cool with me. A cool, kind of interesting story about how I got this was before Daddy's Junkie Music closed up shop for good, over here in the Northeast. I was on their website and I was looking at the used gear for whatever reason, I don't know why. I wasn't looking for a guitar. I just happened to be looking through it, and I was like, oh, let's see if they have any Esp stuff. And they had listed in there an Esp M-Ii for $600, and then they also had marked it down to $500. So at this point, it was $500 marked down from $600. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure this is like a $1,500, $1,600 guitar, new. So this thing must be really beat up, or it must be broken, or something like that. And I took a look at the photo, and it looked pretty beat up. But I said, well, you know what? It's only $500. I have a guitar that I'm not using anymore. I could probably trade it in and get it for even less. So I called them up, told them I was interested in coming and trying it, and they put it aside for me. And when I got there, they had it right up front, and they cleaned the body. And what looked like a very beat up guitar online actually turned out to be virtually pristine condition. There's no real scratches. There's not even any buckle rash. it is in really good condition. So that kind of surprised me. And then, you know, I sat down and played it for a little bit, and I was like, well, it's a lot better than the guitar I was going to trade in. So I decided to go for it, and I ended up walking out of the store with this guitar for $250. So definitely can't complain about that at all. I got a killer deal on it, and I was super pumped because this is a sick guitar, and I paid virtually nothing for it. So, yeah, whenever people ask me about this guitar, I always tell them that story because, I don't know, I feel like I just got a super good deal on it. Some of the cool stuff about this guitar is that the Floyd Rose is very smooth. I've had several guitars in the past where the bridge just didn't move as smoothly as it does on this one. It's just, everything just seems very together when you're playing it. And in the past, sometimes I've had some guitars that it's kind of difficult to do a dive bomb or even pull up or do something. It's just, I don't know, maybe it was just because they were cheaper guitars. Who knows? But this one is definitely awesome. And it, you know, obviously because of the locking nut, it stays in tune very, very well. I usually have problems, you know, keeping guitars in tune. You know, for those guitars that don't have the locking nut, because I do a lot of heavy vibrato and bending and stuff like that, and most guitars don't really do well handling that. But this one, no problems at all. You know, half of the time when I'm just going to jam, I don't even bother tuning it because it's still in tune from the last time. You know, obviously, if I was going to record or something like that, you know, tune it, make sure everything's good to go. Yeah, it's definitely a sick axe. I would definitely recommend this to anyone who's a fan of the ESP line of stuff. Way back in the day, I had an LTD M-250, maybe 350 or something like that. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. But this one, you know, this is a completely different instrument, as I'm sure you'd be able to guess, because this one is, as you can see, a real ESP. And the other one was, you know, one of the LTD, one of the lower end LTD models. And oh, another thing that's pretty cool is there's a little bit of a contoured heel right here. So it's really easy to get up there and access the 24th fret, and especially because of the cutaway here, it's virtually effortless. There's nothing blocking your, you know, your hand from getting up there. The block here is maybe a little bit in the way for your thumb, but I wouldn't call it a problem by any means. You know, as I'm sure any of you that, you know, play super strats are familiar with that, usually pretty easy access to the higher frets. And I mentioned earlier, you know, this is bolt-on, and I actually like the way that the you know, the neck feels on this one without the finish on it. Usually I'm a fan of finished necks, but for whatever reason, I'm not really sure, I really dig this neck. And it's just, you know, it's got like a gloss finish on it, but it's not, you know, it's not sticky or anything like that, especially if, you know, if you have sticky hands. Sometimes, you know, I know some guitar players that run into that problem. They, you know, they swear by, you know, unfinished necks, or, you know, necks with very little gloss finish on the back, just because they don't like their hand getting stuck all the time. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say about the M2. It's definitely a sick guitar, And I'd say if you're ever interested in trying out an ESP, go for it. Especially the real deal ones. Can't go wrong.